Hey, Loco sports fans. Welcome to the Loco Sports Lowdown. It's Monday night. It's Thanksgiving week. So that means it's full on full throes of crossover season. We've got the Earl Campbell Thanksgiving tournament going on at Whale Branch as we speak. I think the last girls game just went on. Whale Branch against Buford. They're both undefeated in the tournament so far. So we got boots on the ground over there. Rob Benson, I think, is over there. Some others as well. So we'll keep tabs. Or if Rob's not there, he's got boots on the ground. So we'll keep tabs on that throughout the
He
night.
knows people.
We'll get
He's
you
got
caught up.
people.
Yeah, he's got an army of hoop sickos who are in gyms throughout the area every night. So we'll get the scoop from over there. I know that May Rivers boys breezed through their 3 games. They had beaten Whale Branch and Ridgeland, I think, and they beat Hardyville tonight handily 80-39. So they're looking good. But we'll get into that the high school hoop stuff a little bit later on in the show and talk USCB basketball. Women lost on the road this weekend, and the men split 2 in Alabama. They got smoked by number 6 Alabama Huntsville. But you gotta get your eyes opened and see what it looks like early on. That's why you go play that game, is to
Yep.
get a measuring stick situation. So we'll talk about that with Tripp Richards, former baseball pitcher at USCB. Now he's getting into the sports broadcasting game with the Sand Shark Game Day Network, and going to be helping us out here on Team Lowco throughout the winter and then hopefully the spring as well. So we'll talk with him. We're also going to talk with BJ Payne after what was a sensational game, but a heartbreaking end to a phenomenal season for his Hilton Head Seahawks and your Hilton Head Seahawks. Wes, we're sorry for your loss as well. You guys were so close to taking it to the lower state championship. And we'll reflect with Coach Payne for a little while. He'll be in a few minutes, and also talk about Hampton County advancing to the Class 2A lower state championship game, which they will host Friday against Central, and talk about Colleton Prep, which battled to stay in that game against Williamsburg Academy on Saturday, and then the rails just went off the rails at the end, and Williamsburg was able to pull away. But really good battle for most of that game. This final score not really indicative of how the game went, but a tough one for the Warhawks. So all that stuff is on tap tonight, and it's Thanksgiving week. How are you boys doing as we coast into this holiday week?
Well, I started with my turkey early, with my mom and dad actually leaving on Thanksgiving for Ohio. We had kind of Thanksgiving with them yesterday afternoon. Was able to watch a good portion of the Browns game against the Raiders.
Oh,
Which they
Shador.
ended up, which
Mm-hmm.
they ended up winning for sure. And Shador outstanding for sure. They're traveling, and we're getting in the throes of all the holiday season and lots of
Weird.
moving pieces for sure. I was telling JJ before we went on, just started looking at some basketball schedules. So all good
You just
stuff.
saw it, didn't you, Wes?
Oh, what? I'll
The
tell you what.
failure to pounce on the fumble.
Max, he's talked a lot about
Sorry,
the Falcons
sorry,
and their
Marcus.
team, but
I could tell
there
Wes was
there are
watching
there
the
are too many
Panthers.
times that this team, watching this team can cause a ton of gray hairs and headaches. And you've seen 2 of them tonight.
Yeah, get the Maalox
The
ready.
interception where
Yeah,
Bryce had
picking
a
the end
chance to just
zone.
take off and run it, and then a fumble, which you should have been able to corral there after your defense almost forced that to would have been the 3rd turnover of the game. So, yeah, this is a normal occurrence for the Panthers these last years.
Oh,
But thankfully, at least they are relevant this time of year. Let's see if this defense can. But I'm doing well. A lot of great football. Unfortunately, some unfortunate results. And man, yeah, heartbroken about that Seahawks game. But just you look big picture. This team, the fact that they battled back from the 2 touchdown deficits
yeah.
to eventually tie it and then come up just short. I think you have to be overall really pleased of how they performed this year, given the circumstances of having to play a very difficult team, and then what they did beforehand. Incredibly impressive performance. There we go. There's a turnover.
Yep. There's the pick.
JC Horn with the 2nd interception of the ball game. Wow. But
Right, Wes, of course, rocking the Panthers jersey
Yeah.
tonight. That's a
Is
Kuechly,
that a
right?
Julius Peppers jersey, by the way?
Luke Kuechly.
Kuechly.
Oh, Luke, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to the
Right.
Seahawks. They had their chances. I think really two plays. Really, the one play that stands out down the stretch was actually a penalty where they backed up. I'm sure you remember they backed up Gray on a holding call, and it was second or third down, very long, and then the face mask gave him a first around the 50, close to 50, and then they ended up, of course, had that terrific pass from the freshman phenom right to just drop a dime right there to his man on the 5-yard line. That was a tough penalty give up, and then you had a chance before that to
the
throw
interception
the
in
end
the
zone
end
that was
zone.
picked off. I mean, I think Derek played a great game. He played a fantastic game, and I really think most of it was just Gray's a very talented team. They're able to get that jump in that first half. And it's difficult to play from behind. And I think Hilton had played a near perfect second half, and you had to be close to perfect the whole game to win this. They were perfect in the second half, and because of that, they're able to get a chance to win. But I mean, just goes to show how good you have to be against this really talented, great team. But it's just you take this entire season as a whole. Incredibly impressive what they were able to do this year, and of course, we talked about injuries down the stretch of the season, able to plug some guys in, especially on the line. And man, the way that defense fought, just incredible, being able to almost nearly shut out. Before the game-winning field goal, no points in the second half. That is just outstanding.
Until 3 seconds left.
Yep, till 3 seconds left. But give a ton of credit to the defense from how well they played, and give credit to Zarnecki as well, offensively finding some sparks.
And there's some doubt whether there should have been any time on that clock, which
and
we'll
some
get
great
into.
play calling too, and some key important points by Payne and that coaching staff. I mean,
the throwback was
I thought he dialed up some terrific calls when they need them, including some trickery throughout that game where they hit their Raniszewski caught a pass.
For a touchdown.
Little Philly special-esque for a touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, and we'll get Payne in here. We'll talk about it. But the sales pitch that Walters made on the pump fake right, and
that was
get open in the flat it was a heady play. It was a well-designed play. We'll talk with BJ about that. So shout out to our sponsors tonight, our all-star sponsors, presenting sponsors, Mickelson Law Firm, our original sponsor, and WHHI TV, our partner in local sports. They present our guest tonight, our first guest tonight, the man, the myth, the legend, BJ Payne. What's going on, man?
Just living the dream.
Yeah, just watching film and trying to figure out how you can get it right next time, right? But you just heard Wes kind of sum it up from a Seahawks fan, alum / reporter perspective.
You wear all the hats. I mean, you're
kind of nailed it on the head.
In the day, you're a fan. You're a fellow, student / alumnus of the school.
Yeah, it's a stew.
Yeah,
it's a stew.
Yes. Yes.
But but I thought you hit the nail on the head as far as pulling back and from the direct pain and heartbreak of the way the game ended and looking at the big picture. You have to be as pleased as you've ever been with where your program is and where it appears to be headed.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was so in the dark there.
No worries.
Yeah, no, we're excited. The outcome was what it was. It wasn't what we wanted. And I'll just take a step back. We played a very good football team Friday night.
Heck yeah.
And we played a bunch of really good football teams, but let's not confuse anything here, right? Like they're a very good football team, but so are we. And we were right there. And I will argue that I don't think we had to play perfect. I think that we had to play really good. And I think that we played really good. You know, it was just one of those games where, you know, they just played a little bit better, and there were some things that didn't go our way, and some things that you know, we're accountable for too. You know, in the first half, we just had some issues with some alignments and how we were lining up. And, you know, because of so many two-way guys, we couldn't really get that adjusted until, you know, halftime. And, you know, you take out the second quarter, you know, we shut them out those other 3 quarters. So really proud of our guys, proud of our coaching staff, you know, our community, the school, you know, everybody. You know, it was a total effort all year long. And, you know, but – you know, now it goes to looking forward to next year. You know, I had about 2 hours this afternoon on working towards next year's stuff, and you know, putting together our calendar and when we're starting off season and when we're doing all that. So, you know, we got to bounce back, and the kids are eager for that, and you know, they're excited. So I think it was a really good thing. But you know, like I said, we're right there just to take the next step, which you know is really hard in, you know, this area at the 4A level. It's, you know, because at the end of the day, excuse me, in that round, you're going to get South Florence, you're going to get Gray, you're going to get North Augusta, you're going to get Hartsville, you're going to get one of those 4 teams.
Right. Yep.
And, you know, so, you know, it is what it is. And, you know, we just need to be a little bit better, you know, on Friday night.
Coach, I want to ask you, obviously, having seen you as much as I've saw you the last 2 years, but in particularly this year, and then seeing the Wilson game and certainly the game against Gray on Friday night, calling those for Beaufort's own. Talk about your offensive line, especially against Gray, with the fact that you guys were depleted a little bit there, and just what they were able to do. Next man up. That mentality's been yours ever since you got here, let alone when you were in the Buckeye State. But it really has been a big factor the last couple of years, and in particularly this year as the season certainly started and you guys had this deep run. Talk about what you saw out of that unit to help make some big plays for this offense going up against a really good Wilson team and a really good Gray team, especially in the playoffs.
Well, I think first and foremost, you know, you got to tip your hat to Cody Mead, our offensive line coach, and Mike Lorenz helps there as well, and Jalen Whitlow as our offensive coordinator, for having those guys ready. And, you know, we started 4 guys on Friday night that did not start week 1 on the offensive line for us. And, you know, it's been kind of interchangeable throughout the year. We've had some injuries. Guys had to step up front. And, you know, the guys did a tremendous job. You know, and you know, they stepped up, but you know, when you lose, you know, those 2, you know, and for us losing those 2, anytime you lose linemen, you know, let alone of their caliber, you know,
and especially your center.
I mean, they're both Division I level guys, right? And,
and the center is, I mean, that throws a lot of stuff off.
Well, he makes, you know, he makes all the calls, he makes all the checks, and you know, and then you know, Mason Sleeby came from guard and moved to center, you know, to fill that void, and he was able to give us some things, and you know, we pull the center and do some things in the run game with the center. But you know, with Aaron, it's, you know, every snap's going to be there, and you know, every call is going to be made, and every check's going to be made up front, you know. And then you lose Hayden Crockett, who is, you know, just a mauler, you know, and you know, the best that you know, I've heard him described as people just saying he's a unit, and he is. That's, you know, he's, you know, barefoot 6'3", he's 335 pounds, and he's, you know, strong as an ox. And he is a mauler who does phenomenal in the pass game and pass protection wise. I think Coach R was talking about that, you know, Friday was the first time, I think, in 2 years that Derek's been sacked. And he got sacked one time Friday night. So we have done a great job of protecting him.
That is clean. Yeah, high praise.
Incredible.
And that goes, like I said, that goes to our offensive line coaches. And it even stems back to last year, you know, when we had Ian Anderson as an offensive line coach, and the mentality that went in there. And you know, all the credit goes to those guys. And, you know, losing those guys obviously was not easy. And made the task a little bit more difficult, but our kids step up. You know, they know and they prepare. And, I think we do a great job of getting everybody reps throughout the week, making sure everybody's involved in the scouting report and making sure everybody knows, what they're going to face whenever they get out there.
I mean, that's half the battle, or even more of it. Getting your coaches on the same page, and the job that they did. Building up, not just building up, but having to adjust when guys were in and out, especially late in the year. I mean, that is incredible stuff. What they're able to do to get your guys ready for, especially such a formidable opponent and that defensive line. But the big story that I was talking to earlier, and what I was most impressed about, was just that defensive effort in the second half. But early in the game, you saw some positive signs, even though it looked like Williamson was in charge early with the run game. Talk to me about how you guys really locked in and found that edge defensively in the second half to get your team back in this game and eventually find that game time touchdown. But just talk about what you have seen from this defensive group this year and what they have done to really take this team to a level that we have not seen in a long time here in terms of success at Hilton Head High School, getting to the third round of the playoffs.
I don't think there's any, like I had somebody today ask me at school, they were like, man, you must have really ripped them at halftime because they came out. But that's not the case at all. Like, we don't have to hype them up for games or anything. We go in, we get on the board, we make the adjustments. And like I said, there was just a misalignment from us in the second quarter, where there was a little bit of confusion, and it kept enabling. He's a great back. He's a big back. He's 6'1", 200 pounds, and ran for 1,500 yards this year, and he's very talented. But we really were not lined up the way we should have been, and the way that we had prepared all week for it, which was different than how we prepared the last 3 weeks, right? Like every week you scheme differently for different teams, or at least we do. So once we get that adjustment fixed, then I think we held them in check in the second half along with everybody else. But like I said, there's no magic sauce. Our kids believe we believe in them. They believe in the coaching staff. We came at halftime and said, look, this is simple. We ain't changing anything. We just have to make sure we're where we're supposed to be. And once everybody was on that page, then we were good to go.
Specifically, Will Jimenez finishing his career on Friday. Man. I mean, just talk about what he has done to transform this program to incredible heights this year, and just in the past as well. His hunger out there and that tenacity to make every play possible. I mean, how we know how important he has been, but as a coach, what did he mean to this squad as a whole here in 2025?
Huge impact. Obviously, he was a senior captain for us. He's a leader in the weight room. He's the motivational leader. He's the yeller. He's the screamer. He's the alpha male. He does a good job of leading by example too. He gives it all out there on the field. And I'm so proud of that kid for where he was, 4 years ago to where he is now. He 4 years ago, he played tennis. He didn't even play football. And, I had it wrong earlier in the summer, and I said golf on accident. It wasn't golf, it was tennis. And, but, we have a little thing every day when I see him come in the gym. I'm like, Jimenez, what's up? And he's like, it's Jimenez. And so we do this every day. But from where he's come from, a kid who, 4 years ago came in and, he was coming off of playing tennis and never played football before. He was like 125 pounds. He wasn't strong at all. And he bought into, our program. He bought into the strength program. He bought into the culture. He became a part of the culture. He became a leading piece in that culture. Right. And, to see him reap the rewards of, literally 3 years ago, he thought he was a tailback, and that progressed to linebacker, and safety. Then it progressed to linebacker and tight end, and he found his fit. And at times it wasn't always easy. It was hard. He battled some injuries last year, had to miss a couple of games, but he found a way to get through it. and it found a way to continue to lead this team and be a dynamic player, and not just lead, because a lot of times, the guys that are the alpha guys and that are always up here, they don't always perform on the field, and he did that, without a shadow of the doubt. I don't know, but I think he ended up with over 120 tackles. Had a ton of sacks on which, were plays that, just the way we play linebackers, like he wasn't blitzing, he just read it and then took off and made a tackle. But what a phenomenal year that he had, and not just on the field statistically, but as a leader within our program, second to none.
I got two more for you.
5 tackles, 20 tackles for loss,
Wow.
5 sacks.
Phenomenal. I've got 2 more for you, Coach, on special teams. The battery mates at kicker, Cole Lindstedt, and certainly Bo Sexton. What did they mean to your program? Obviously, seeing from my vantage point, and certainly Justin and Wes's, a lot.
Yeah, those 2 guys were absolutely huge. And I'll speak about, both of them. Bo's been in the program for 4 years. Bo was like 80 pounds when he first got here. Like if there was the old 80-pound, wrestling class, that's where Bo should have been. But Bo's a leader. He's the head of the ROTC program here. He does all that. But I've never had a kicker. I've never had a kicker who literally is at every single workout for 4 years. Absolutely amazing what Bo did to get bigger, to get stronger, because he knew it would translate to the field. But then, he made a tweet today with his highlights, and I put on there Mr. Perfect. And I remember hugging him after the game on Friday night and said, "Man, perfect," because he was 50 for 50 on extra points, 8 for 8 on field goals. And, he was a kid who worked and did such an incredible job. And, he picked up punting. That wasn't one of his things to begin with, and became a really good punter as well. And then Cole, Cole came to us last year, and Cole was very elite at what we wanted him to do, which was, the diagonal pooch kick. And did a great job with that and with the onside kicks. In the spring, we didn't see Cole as much because he was on the golf team. But every single day at practice, those 2 are there. And, they're there every single day. They're there the entire time, 2 hours kicking. Coaches are going crazy because they're kicking balls into their drills. But, they came every single day and they worked. And losing those 2 is going to be big, because it's literally, they both had very specific roles within our program. They both knocked them out of the park. Exactly what we needed them to do. And they were both great at it. Like literally, like every Monday, Cole would come up to me and he would say, "Hey, where do you need it? Where do you want it? And how do you want it?" And so it was, all right, we're going right numbers, at the second level in the air, or we're going on the ground, which, by the way, the kickoff was not an onside kick. We were just squibbing it to them, and they just happened to grab it in the front row. But those 2 were absolutely dynamic with everything that they did, and we're gonna miss that one a lot. Those 2 guys, our kicking game has always been, a huge piece here, and a lot of time we put into it. But those 2 were absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I mean, so many memorable components of what we saw this year from this team, and certainly Sexton is one of them. As you said, Jimenez, who we just mentioned, but just a lot more to be excited about in the future, especially for those guys who train back. Obviously, Renishevsky and Zarnecki, but so many others in this core
and
that
Richard,
we have
right?
next year.
That's the big 3 to me.
Yeah. But just talk to me about the excitement for this team moving forward into 2026.
Wait, is Walters back too? Yeah.
I believe so.
From what I see, he is. Yeah. I only see on this roster, I only see 7 seniors that are.
Yeah, but just talk about the excitement that you have with your core pieces to potentially find ways to get even better and improve alongside some of these young pieces that you look to take steps forward. And, just talk about your overall excitement for what could be an even bigger 2026 here at Hilton High.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we're really excited. I think when you take the special teams component out, and when you just look at 11 on offense and 11 on defense, we'll be returning 19 starters. Obviously, we got to continue with depth pieces, and we have to fill the roles of that because you said seven seniors, but Ty Wiedemann, we got to replace Ty Wiedemann at receiver. Caden Stewart, we got to figure out who's going to be the deep threat. Tajay Wright, played a very important role for us this year. Will Jimenez, we got to figure out who's going to play that Mike backer. Are we going to move one of our guys in there right now, or is there going to be a younger guy that earns that role? And then, Samaje Robinson did a great job with us on both sides of the ball. And then the two kickers. So, we have to figure out those pieces, but you feel a lot better when you know that you have 19 returning starters rather than 4. You feel pretty good about it. And especially, we return all 5 up front. The trigger man's back. The 2 backs are back. And don't forget too, let's not forget this. And this isn't like a boasting thing, but our JV program went 9-0 this year.
Right.
So where do those guys fit in? Where do they filter in? Because we have a very talented JV team as well. So we just got to keep coaching. But with that being said, they can't, and I could see it in their eyes today in school. They can't lose that hunger or that drive, that what got them here. And we can't lose track of that, because I've seen it on teams before, where they think, oh, well, we got this back and we got this back and we're going to be great. The next thing you know, you're 6-4, and for I guess a very bad lack of terms, because at the end of the day, I'm just a football coach and a PE teacher. We'll be walking around with that target on our back. You go from being the hunter to the hunted, and but extremely proud of what these guys have done so far. This year and last year, and Caleb Spangler was at the game Friday night and gave him a big hug, and I was like, you guys last year really set this bar.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And the kids are, responding to it. And that's why, spent 2.5, 3 hours today after school working on, the off season and how we're going to attack the off season and how are we going to handle, our lifts and open season and spring ball and get into the summer and all of that. So really excited about this group and what we have coming back. And, we play in a great region. So it's going to be, it's going to be awesome. No clue who our non-region opponents are going to be, because
we got to kind of wait on a realignment, probably, right?
Right.
Well, that's part of it, and part of it too is we've been pretty good the last couple of years.
Yeah.
There's some teams
people stop answering your phone calls and emails at some point, right? May River went through that for a little while, where they couldn't get anybody to play them for a couple of years there, and Beaufort for a little while, so
it's hard.
It definitely shakes things up a little bit. But you got anybody scheduled for next year yet?
No, I mean, we got to figure out who's going to be in our region. I think there's going to be a couple teams in our region who will not be in our region anymore.
I think so too.
But I think we do have a gentleman's agreement so far with Hardyville to play again this year. Yeah. But I think that was supposed to be week 0, but my understanding is there might not be a week 0 next year. So we got to figure that out and do all that. I think the high school league's probably changing some things, and maybe they're going to go more to like a first round bye format like they do on 5A. So they might just they limit to 10 games. I will say that the one thing that I truly love about South Carolina is you get the bye week. In Ohio, you don't. You play 10 straight. In South Carolina, you got 11 weeks to play 10 games. You fit them in wherever you want to. Our bye week's been a little unconventional because of, we play it
fall break.
Once we get into region because of fall break with that game of, the team over the bridge and all that. So, we just got to get all that figured out.
10-4. You were telling me on Saturday about
I want to give you a chance to talk about the Hampton County Hurricanes, who are getting ready to host the Lower State Championship. You guys took them on in a matchup that was delayed bit or midway through by some rain, some thunder, lightning. But talk to me about this Hampton County team and what you saw from them when you guys played them earlier in the year, and what you think of them heading into their biggest home game yet as the Hampton County Hurricanes on Friday.
Well, I will just use you guys' terminology because obviously I'm a huge LowcoSports guy. Agent Zero is different.
Yeah.
That cat is different. Like, he is different. Like, he is elite. He is shifty. He is flat out speed. He is a football player. Like, he is a dog. Like, he's got everything and anything you would want in a player. He's a really, really special football player. But you add in all their other weapons as well. I look at some games that we played really well in this year, right? And I look at them and I look back to the Hampton County game and I'm like, man, how did that, how did it unfold in the second half? Like, we played really well, right? And, but to look at that and all the talent they have, and then that coaching staff and what Rob's done there is absolutely phenomenal. Him and I have a great relationship. We text each other every Friday, on this playoff run. And obviously I'll be the one, sending the first text this week because I'm not playing. But they do just an amazing job there. I told him this year, like, of all the stadiums I've ever coached in or played in, that stadium that they play in is my second favorite. The only one ahead of that was Claxton's, the Pecan Grove or whatever they call it. That place, but Hampton Stadium is amazing. I told Rob, I was like, I can't believe you guys are going to get rid of this and have a new stadium. There's just so much tradition in there. It's literally like you turn around.
Sometimes there's a dead deer caught in the net, and it smells like death at that one end of the field.
Well, you turn around like to get a drink of water, and like somebody's parent is right there. Like the stands are right on top of the field.
Right on top.
There's nowhere to go.
Like, and the sideline is not very deep.
Yeah,
you're right on top of the field.
The officials tell you beforehand. They're like, hey, we got to be, we can't really say anything to you about coaching from the field. We know it's kind of tight. And I'm like, kind of tight. Like, are you serious? But with all that being said, absolutely amazing atmosphere. So, they got some people who bring those, those horn blowing things like a semi
cowbells and
the cowbells.
One time up there.
And like I said, Coach Hannah's done a phenomenal job there. And has absolutely crushed it. And they have an uber talented team, and they are very, very good. And I expect them to continue playing on and hope, like everybody else does around here, that they continue to win and continue to play.
And to think they could have had Bill Risher too if he didn't move over to Hilton Head, and the Bovain kid who plays receiver at Bamberg or slot back or whatever. They had even more talent on that roster that moved out. So I hope they can pull it off on Friday. That'd be great. BJ, you were telling me on Saturday about some clock issues at the end of the game, and there were a couple of different instances where the clock ran or didn't run, and then time was put on once but not the other time, and then you got down to it and it mattered. I don't know if you want to get into that or not.
I mean, it is what it is,
Right.
I've received a couple of different phone calls about it from a couple of different levels that have told me that I'm 100% right in this situation. And people, when I'm talking different levels, I'm not talking like from our district, I'm talking top end people, but so they got the last drive, obviously, and by no means, you know what I mean, like we had opportunities to make plays,
sure,
but I felt,
and the kid had to throw a perfect pass with really good coverage
and he's a tremendous quarterback, and we can talk about that separate, but Wes and Marcus were at the game, but the momentum in that game had totally shifted. And I truly feel if we go into overtime, we win that game.
I agree.
And, So on the last drive, they had, there was a situation where they got a first down. They stopped the clock. They spotted the ball. Then they wound the clock. They ran the next play. It was a sprint out, incomplete pass. And there was 28.2 seconds left on the clock. Then all of a sudden there's 35 seconds on the clock. So I go out to the white hat. I said, well, what's going on? I don't understand. And he was like, well, we need to add 7 seconds back to the clock. And I said, why? And he said, well, their coaching staff had told the officials on that side there should be 7 seconds left. And I'm like, well, first of all, I can tell you to take 20 off. That doesn't work that way. So anyway, the head official owned it. And he said, if I'm wrong, it's on me. But this is what we're doing. We're keeping it at 35. Well, when you come back and, you get a chance to watch, the game on, Beaufort's Own, and you get to see the time, they stopped the clock just like they should have. And when the ball was set and the chains were moved, they restarted it. So there shouldn't have been 7 seconds back on the clock.
Yeah.
Right. And I even said that 7 seconds could come back. Well, then they run another play, and then they line up to spike the ball to stop the clock, to kill the clock. And the quarterback took a knee. He took a knee and then spiked it. The clock stopped for about 5 or 6 seconds.
Yeah, that was weird.
The clock should have never stopped. And I was yelling to the sidelines because the white hat came in and pointed down and said his knee was down. And then, so they're getting the ball together, and I'm like, run.
But he didn't wind it until they got the ball.
I'm yelling,
run the clock.
Run the clock. Of course, I said, run the beautiful clock. And so he finally.
It's gorgeous.
Yes.
It's a fantastic clock.
Run that beautiful clock, baby. But they didn't run it. And then so Gray ends up calling a timeout, and there's 10.2 seconds left. So I went out, had a conference, and said, wait a second, you guys did not keep the clock running. It was at least 5 or 6 seconds. You guys need to take 5 seconds off. And he was like, we're not doing it. And I said, well, if you just added 7, why can't you take 5 off? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, they should have 4 or 5 seconds left, which means it's a Hail Mary, knock it down, we go to overtime. Right. And when he said, I'm going to keep it at 10.2, I just, it's one of those things you just get that feeling, right? And I said, you literally are giving them an opportunity for a chunk play and then to set up for a field goal. And that's literally what happened. Now, at the end of the day, right, we still got to play defense. We got to make sure that next play doesn't happen. But if you take the 12 seconds off, you're not even into that situation. And it is what it is, and we'll never put anything else. We left things on the field that we shouldn't have, and we always told our kids control the controllables, and we can only control what we can control. We can't control other things, and but yeah, there was in the last minute there was a major two major issues with the clock, but again we're talking 45 seconds, and we had 47 minutes and 15 seconds to take care of it.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the same time, this isn't, and I'm not saying this as a knock to any other programs. Like, this isn't a week 9 game at Colleton. This is a round 3 game of the high school league playoffs. Right. It should be.
It's worth a little bit more.
It should have all the proper mechanics and dynamics into it. And like I said, it is what it is. And, just woke up and it's not, there were a lot of things we should have done better, but it was a very weird weekend to say the least.
Yeah, man. Any more, boys? Max just jumped in.
Actually, I actually came on just in time. Thank God I did. I wanted to actually apologize to BJ Payne as well as the rest of the Hilton Head football team and the school itself. I had said a couple things on the show Friday night after the game that I completely took out of context, and let me get the quote up here. Give me a second. Basically what I did, after I talked with BJ Payne, I basically took out of context and put into words that I should not have used regarding their loss on Friday, and if you go back and watch it, you'll understand what I said, as I had just came onto the show and started talking. I just wanted to apologize to BJ Payne and the rest of the Hilton Head staff because I did not mean to do that. I just wanted to apologize and say I respect you way too much and respect this program way too much to do something like that. And I just want to say I apologize for those actions on Friday. It's not who I am. I don't like doing that because it gets me in a lot more trouble than I ever want to be in, and B, it's just not who I am. And many people know that I don't like to do stuff like that. It's just not who I am.
Yeah.
Like, look, I like to speak my mind, but when it comes to something like that, I don't ever want to do that. So I wanted to apologize to you, Coach, and to the rest of the Hilton Head coaching staff, as well as the school itself, for what I had said on Friday night. So I do apologize.
No, I appreciate that. It was just, like I said, I know sometimes things get taken out of context, and, I appreciate that. Yeah, I promise you, and this is no secret, I would have loved to have played that game with Aaron Stafford and Hayden Crockett.
Oh, God.
Trust me, I would have
loved to have seen you have that team.
Yeah, I would have loved to,
Stafford,
but,
man.
we played with, who we had available in the game, and they played their tails off, and we went into that game thinking we were going to be playing this Friday, and if not for a couple things here or there, we would be, and it is what it is, and now we move on to next year. But I do appreciate that, Max, and just so you know, I did not intentionally onside kick, so let's make sure of that.
Yeah. No.
That was not an intentional onside kick.
Well, I had to look back at the film because I just thought there's no way he would have onside kicked it. I know he knows.
Not right in the middle.
So I had to look at it again, and it was just a kick that went right to a player. I mean, that's
because we kicked the. So this is one thing, just because I was actually telling Justin this. It's like if you really deep dive into Gray stuff that's not on max preps or anything else, they average like 48 yards a kickoff return and like 39 yards a punt return. And they take those three cats, 0, 1, and 2, and they put them all on the 5-yard line, 2 on one hash, 1 in the middle. I can promise you we were not going to kick to those two cats. What the problem is then the 8's up here and then 7's up here.
Yeah.
Who are you going to kick to? But I knew we were not going to kick
to. Ballware was sitting right in the middle of everything.
Yeah, we were not going to kick to 0, 1, and 2. But Cole plays it beautifully every time. Exactly where we wanted to put it. Just the one time the kid, he didn't get enough oomph on it, and the kid grabbed it, and they got it. But yeah,
I like the way Max said Gray's whole team is Hands team. That's absolutely true.
Well, so that's actually something we talked about. Like in our meetings, a special teams meeting, we talked about it because when you look at it, right, like they go 5 across the front. And then the 3 back guys are 0, 1, and 2. And then the next row of 3 middle guys was like the running back 8, number 4, the all-state corner. But their front 5 that is usually where guys, find a way to get guys on the field or whatever. Their middle 3 of that front 5 were their 3 linebackers. It was 24, 11, and 7. And then the 2 wings were also their rotators at H-back, number 5 and something else. So they literally, it's all linebackers and skill guys, but their numbers were pretty ridiculous, and we were not going to, kick.
Yeah, no,
I can promise you that.
Coach, just one final thing, I guess.
Are you wearing a Panthers jersey?
If you,
yeah, he is.
Wait. Can we stop for a second? Wes, what are you doing here? Are you a Panthers fan, Wes?
He is, yes.
Okay, that was
a Panthers fan and a Red Sox fan.
Yeah, man. Nothing better than that. What a combination that is, right?
Wes, you'll be proud of me. This is actually a Red Sox shirt that I'm wearing.
Very nice.
Nice.
Very nice. Yeah.
But let me just tell you real quick, just 1 second. Yeah. So I knew that was a Luke Kuechly jersey. So Luke Kuechly went to St. Xavier High School in Ohio, in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So in case you don't know this, in high school, Luke Kuechly played adjuster, which is a free safety.
Right.
So Luke Kuechly, we run the same defense basically that St. X does. That's where I originally went and got when I coached Ohio, got the 3-3
cool.
and then the 4-2. Luke Kuechly played where Jeremiah Walters plays for us. So if you can imagine Luke Kuechly standing in the middle of the field in high school football at 6'4", 230 pounds as a free safety, that's what it looked like.
Pretty cool stuff.
So, by the way, Puna, the Rams are the Panthers on Sunday.
Indeed.
Yeah,
yes.
big Puna.
Hey, good one.
Big Puna.
Heading back to
you got to grant him.
yeah, Rams are looking good.
Likely it won't be. You're right.
The Rams look like a unit.
Rams are looking legit.
They look really good.
They're true contenders this year.
All right, Russ, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to touch on that.
The defense is doing their part, but back to you guys. I just want to hear if you're willing to say just what you said to the team and what you told the team as after everything wrapped up, and just your final message to your guys this season.
It was weird because we just told them, they went over and did the Hawk Jacks, and then came over, and we always talk to them. And, usually the only two coaches that talk are me and Coach Whitlow. And, Coach Whit talked first. I always let him go first. And then, just telling them, how proud of them we were, that they had done some things that hadn't ever been done here, some things that hadn't been done in a long time. And what I had told them about earlier in the week, and that, we talk about it a lot, and Justin and I talk about this a lot, is that, to me, like, it's not just about wins and losses.
Right.
It's about every other thing that goes into it. And it's about making these, taking these guys from boys and turning them into young men, and the responsibility and the accountability, and becoming great teammates, and then, getting them off to play college ball at any level, and doing all those things. And what I told them is that they had done something for this community that I hadn't seen, and not since probably after Hurricane Matthew and that first game after Matthew, to where there was a buzz on this island, on Monday and Tuesday, of people who were coming to that game, who hadn't been to a game in 5 years, who hadn't been to a game all year, and you can take two approaches to it. And I think, at first I was kind of like, well, we could really use that help in September, but hopefully they will come back, and they brought a community together, and on an island, in a community that's very, what's the word I'm looking for?
Siloed.
It's just different, right? Like, I always thought, like, I got here and I said, as long as you win, people will show up, because nobody's, rarely, right? But nobody's from here. They all moved here, right? They're coming from somewhere that was a small town with football, where you go to games on Friday nights. That's what you do. Yeah. And then I realized, like, happy hour at Hudson's is like 7 p.m. on a Friday night. Right. So people that are retired here, they don't want to go see high school football. They want to go eat shrimp and drink martinis. And, I really learned that, like, my second year here. And Wes, this is probably when you were in school. It was the year that we beat the team over the bridge, 33-32 at our place. We faked the extra point and went for two. And that game, there was like 10,000 people there. It was stadium only. I think we were fifth in the state. Bluffton was fourth. I said their name. I can't believe it. Yeah, right. Can we edit that? And then, but we win that game, and it was 5 deep around the track. And then the next week, we're playing James Island for homecoming, and there was like 700 people there. And I was like, oh, okay, it's different. Like, we have to find creative ways. But this team and how they played, and last year's team, and hopefully next year's team, they know that these kids are going to play hard. They know they're going to be coached hard. They know they're going to play with grit. It's a never give up mentality, and they're going to keep playing. And I think that people really, like, love seeing that. And I love people love knowing that because, I've been here in the past and Wes, you've been as close to everything and to seeing everything as a student and everything else is, in the past, a game like this past Friday, down 28-14, it ends up 42-14. And this team just has a resilience about them. They have a resolve, they have a belief, and they just work. And they continue to work, and they love being coached hard. And that's the thing is our practices are not easy, and our workouts are not easy, but they embrace it. There's never, any questioning or why are we doing this or anything like that. They have a faith and a trust in us as a staff that we're going to put them in the right situation. And, and we do our best to do that. And so that was the biggest thing is I told them, you guys gave and brought a community together for a night and gave them something that they haven't had. And, besides that, there wasn't, many words. You could kind of see in the kids' eyes that they felt like, we're right there. We could have very easily, walked out of there as the victor and then getting ready for, this Friday. But, something here, something there, and it just didn't happen. But, I always tell the kids, and I'm a firm believer in this, everything happens for a reason. We might not know it a week from now. It might not be a year from now. It might not be 5 years from now. It might not be 10 years from now, but everything in life happens for a reason. So there's a reason why we didn't pull that off Friday. And maybe it's to make us more resilient. Maybe it's to get us and to have that edge and that look in our eyes that I saw from our kids, today in school of what the off-season program is going to look like, and their preparedness. And there was a lot of lessons and I know I'm going off on a tangent right now, but a lot of lessons to be learned from this in regards to the little things that, they saw this year firsthand that, every game matters because every game also matters for seeding, because we were able to be home 3 straight weeks and potentially, if we would have won and North Augusta would have won home 4 straight weeks. So, not just, winning the region is obviously the first goal, but then on top of that, getting that seed to where, you're continuing to play home games and not having to go on the road because coming here is not easy. And going to places is not easy. Trust me, those 3.5-hour trips to, Greenville.
You can't get there from here.
From Myrtle Beach. And,
Yeah.
I mean, those road playoff games are absolutely brutal. And so, there was a lot of lessons to be learned. And like I said, everything happens for a reason in life. And, we might not know next year. It might be 5 years from now. It might be 10 years from now. It might be, there was a kid in 4th grade sitting there watching that game that, is going to remember that forever. I know we got 2 ball boys on the sidelines that'll remember it, and they're both going to be offensive linemen. It's, Cassius, my son, and Ivan Lorenz. So, they saw that. So, and, and in 6 years when it's their turn, maybe that's what it is. Maybe they saw it. So, like I said, everything happens for a reason, and we'll figure it out.
Right on, man. All right. Well, thanks so much,
All
BJ.
right.
We appreciate it. Congratulations on a tremendous season. And again, as we say every time, it's been a pleasure to watch you build this program and see, the layers start to come in and start to see it take shape and go where you wanted it to go from the beginning. It's progress is always incremental, and a year's a long time to wait for the next increment, but that's how it works in this business. You build it in the off season and bring it back together and try to be a little bit better than last year. And you can't get there overnight, but you guys are plugging away, getting a little bit closer every year. So we appreciate everything you do, and it's been really fun to watch your team this year.
Thank you. I absolutely love coaching this group, and they're absolutely phenomenal. So they truly earned everything that all the success they had this year.
Thank you, Coach, and happy Thanksgiving to you and yours.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
We'll see you real soon. Take care, brother.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
See ya.
Yes, sir. You too. That's BJ Payne joining us on the LowcoSports Lowdown. Always a great interview. Went way longer than we would have budgeted for, but we're not cutting off BJ Payne. No chance.
No.
But let's talk some hoops, boys. We got our friend Tripp Richards been waiting in the green room for ages. He's probably all filled up on snacks at this point. And Javon Livingston has jumped in with us as well. BJ just left, man. You finally got in here.
Yeah, I know. Last minute, I was I was trying to hop on and join in, and because I had some questions for BJ, but unfortunately, hey, a little bit too late. Yeah.
Hey,
I like
those
that hat
snacks,
though,
and
and
they've been gone. They were before we even
Oh,
started.
appreciate it, man.
I can't stop myself.
Tripp went through all the green room snacks, right? He's been there for a minute.
They're all gone. All the Slim Jims. All
Where you at, Tripp? You in Alabama?
Yeah, well, technically I'm in Columbus, Georgia. So like where I'm from is right on the Georgia-Alabama line. So I'm in my girlfriend's dad's office right now. So he let me use it for quiet space.
Very good. Well, we just we got acquainted last week at the USCB games, and I immediately was like, "Get in here, man. We need you on Team Lowco. You're going to be around the USCB teams, of course, all season, but we'll try to get you out to see some high school games and stuff as well, so you can be in the know about this stuff that we dive into." But Sand Sharks on the road this weekend, and women lost a pretty close game at Barton. Guys split a pair out in your neck of the woods, beating Christian Brothers by 5, and then losing badly to number 6 Alabama Huntsville. One of those games that you put on the schedule to go measure yourself against where you want to be and see how you can start to get there. But what were your thoughts on the road trip this weekend for USCB?
No, let's start with the women. I mean, it's always a good precursor. The weekend before Feast Week, of course, Men's Division I has their Feast Week this week. Maui Invitational Players Air Championship. But the women went out and they had their own little contest against Barton College on Saturday, falling, like you said, to 8 to them. And my biggest takeaway was the defensive prowess from both teams in that game. Of course, Barton College allowing 62 points per game going into the matchup, only giving up 48 to the Sand Sharks, who are averaging 76 points per game on the offensive end. And the USCB Sand Sharks, who have averaged 74 points allowed and have only gave up 56 against Barton College. Watching that game, I could tell in the first half it was going to be felt a lot like Florida Tech. USCB starts off hot, of course, playing their game, what they were supposed to do, and then
if it cuts off, I accidentally bumped the Wi-Fi on accident, so give it a second; it'll cut back on. Okay. All right, don't freak out; it'll come back on. All right.
Okay. Do I keep going?
Yeah, keep going.
I got you. Okay. Yeah, no, so USCB comes out to a hot start, of course, with a great play from their starting 5. Sammy Bardonero, Lydia Gattosi, Janiyah Hayward, Janiyah Bowman, and Bree Pottle. Overall, I thought it was a good game by the Sand Sharks with one just blotch on the resume. That third quarter, they scored 0 points in the entire 10 minutes. And that's ultimately where they fell. And then the fourth quarter wasn't much better, shooting 1 from 12, 8.3% from the field. Most of their points coming from free throws in that fourth quarter. So, again, just another day where they had him on the ropes, and the opponent's not going to stop punching back. So they just had to keep swinging, and they decided to take the foot off the gas.
Yeah, and that's third quarter is usually their quarter. It feels like. It seems like they always make really good halftime adjustments and come out in the third and play well, but not this time around. So, but that's what these early season games are for, is working out some of those kinks and stuff, and definitely they got to find a way to bring the energy in the third quarter. The guys, they had a battle in their first game, and then the second game.
They might be upset with me for saying this.
Yeah,
they might be mad at me for saying this because I'm with these guys a lot, but it was a battle that I don't think should have been a battle. If you watch the game, in the first half of the game, they were playing the press, playing their defense and their offense to a T. The Christian Brothers was very tired, really quick. But I could kind of tell we started getting a little fatigued more towards the end of the first half, starting into the second half, allowing Christian Brothers to get close. And the big stat here was just the rebounds. Christian Brothers out-rebounded USCB 44 rebounds to 33, which can't happen. Any game like that with a lot of offensive boards. I think Christian Brothers had 2 players with double-digit rebounds, which is just something that Coach Ron preaches a lot, is boxing out and winning those battles down low, not creating second chance opportunities for the other teams. And that was one of the ways that Christian Brothers was able to come back. It also helps when you shoot 55% from the field, which is what Christian Brothers shot in the second half. But I think the way their play style, the quickness of USCB's play style, helped them out a lot when they're able to play those rotations, those 5 in, 5 out.
Yeah.
Because you get fresh bodies out there, and then you have
if they start to get in foul
guys.
trouble, or if somebody's really off and they got to mix up the rotation, it does throw things off a little bit.
Exactly, and it makes both teams uncomfortable to an extent. But I think as the season goes on, and again, this is another game where they had a large lead and then it got dwindled down in the second half, kind of like the Florida Tech game. But as the season goes on, these players learn to play with each other. Of course, you get newer guys like Evan Kilminster, Seth Cullen, Ish, Jamaica, all these new guys that are coming in and learning to play with a new system with new guys. Of course, you had the whole fall, but it's not the same until you actually start playing for something. But overall, I think the team, that first half was very promising. Second half, they fell down a little bit, but nothing we haven't been used to.
That's a very good team they played. Alabama, Huntsville.
Did you watch that Huntsville game?
Yeah, I watched the Huntsville game. The Huntsville game was a tough watch.
It is.
But like you said, it's one of those games where you put them on the schedule to see how they're going to match up, how you match up to these teams, these elite level teams. And with the remaining schedule for USCB being UNCP, Fayetteville State, USC, Aiken, North Georgia, all being on the schedule, all receiving votes to be in the top 25. Playing the number 6 team in the country and losing isn't necessarily the end all be all. That's not burn the boats type level.
It's a little too early in the season for it to be the end all be all.
I mean, that's the best way of doing that is to schedule up, and I'm sure Ron Fidala has that same kind of mentality. But it's coming close very quickly to conference play, because unlike in most college basketball and Division I level, where you normally don't start until really close to New Year's or January, you start conference play in December. But not December. It's like December 3rd. And then they are at Lander. Then they're home against Augusta a week later. But 2 more non-conference games, and they're at UNC Pembroke, and they play Ferrum College coming up this weekend. So, just tell me your outlook on what you're hoping to see in this last 2 tune-up games before things really start to ramping up in terms of games that really matter into a conference play. But just talk to me about what you're hoping to see in these games this weekend.
I'm hoping to see them become more comfortable with the way they play and with each other. You saw it. The fouls were down. I don't know if you paid attention the first weekend against Emory Henry and Francis Marion, but the Sand Sharks averaged 30 fouls per game, making them first in the country. And then this weekend, 15 against UAH and 12 against Christian Brothers. So obviously, great to see that. Another big highlight from the UAH game that gives me positive outlook is Nolan Paladugu actually went out and played his game. He looked very comfortable shooting 4 of 9 from the three-point line with 14 points. So if I'm able to see these guys in that second rotation become more and more comfortable and really highlight, hey, we're in the second rotation, we're comfortable where we are, we're still going to get our minutes and we're going to get our buckets, then I think that's what I'm looking to see this weekend. Is them going through a whole week of practicing hard and working hard, and then going into Pembroke and trying to, smack somebody in the face and win 2 games.
Yeah.
Well, I don't suppose you're not going to be back tomorrow for the women's game. I don't suppose.
Unfortunately, I will not be. I tried to work it out.
Thanksgiving.
It's a very strange time to host a 1:30 on a Tuesday before Thanksgiving. It's
so weird.
It's a little unusual, but turns out I don't have anything particular to do at 1:30 tomorrow, so I'm going to go call it.
Just calling it with you.
A 1:30 p.m. game is crazy.
Yeah, I need to ask. I need to ask if anyone's available for spotting because I have normal corporate work duties. That time.
I might.
I'm excited.
If you need someone to jump in with you, Justin, I'm basically off from work tomorrow.
Well, come on over then. Well,
I need someone to spot. I need a spotter because I'm.
Well,
I'm definitely gonna be
we'll
watching,
put him to work on
pressure.
something. We'll put him to work on something.
I think for me, because I've watched a few of the men's games, and for me, I think yeah, I agree with Tripp here. I think they need to be a little more comfortable together, but it takes a little bit of time, especially when you have new players that have been added into the fold of this team, and you've lost certain players like Alejandro Lott, who was a major key to that team from last season. So I think that's my first thing is they got to get a bit more comfortable together. I agree with Tripp 100%. I think the other thing for me is I think defensively, I'd like to see a little bit more from them on the defensive side of the ball. I think they're getting there on defense, and I think they will once, conference play begins and they start getting their groove in. I think it'll get there. So I'm not worried about USCB men's basketball right now. I think they're playing some great basketball. And look, Alabama Huntsville is an absolute, unit of a team, clearly being ranked 6th in the country, at this time last year. So I think, that's a good stepping stone as to where you think you're sitting as you go into conference play as a team. I still have a lot of faith in this USCB men's team. And I actually have a lot of faith in the women's team as well. I think once they start getting it together, because I think if they can figure out how to be a little more comfortable playing basketball together, I think they're going to be a lot better than they have been
to St. Petersburg for the weekend.
Yeah.
Couple of games.
So
yeah, the women's team, I've been I think watching them last year, watching them this year, the growth that they've made, the additions that they've made, and just players becoming their own. Of course, you get back Janiah Hayward.
Janiah was hurt a good part of last year, and then Leah now has
freshman
a year
year.
under her belt. That's
freshman year, she was freshman player of the year. You get her back. I think she's going to be one of the keys for the team. If she's able to get the ball and play her game, where she likes to go in and create the outside shots for Sam Bernero and Tanai Bowman, all these guys all these shooters, then I think that is going to be very, very effective for Coach Vership's squad. Same thing with Tanai Bowman. I mean, I think she's an absolute spark plug. Hope she doesn't get too mad at me for saying this, but she reminds me of SGA the way she plays. She's a free throw merchant.
Yeah.
She goes right to the rim.
I love that.
And creates contact.
You mentioned Bernero. I'm trying to pronounce the name correctly. Bardenero. I am sorry. I'll make sure to not to
the mouthful.
But she's been a really nice addition, and her outside shot is fun to watch.
Nice.
So, you add her, and if Janiah Hayward can stay healthy, she just plays with an extra edge. She is a beast when she so when she gets to the game that we know we can see from her. So I'm feeling good about this women's team. No, I'm interested in seeing how they do this weekend. You didn't do these last few non-conference games, and I feel like they'll definitely improve in terms of how they finish in conference play if they can keep everyone healthy and continue to play at that high level in terms of not giving up too much, not giving away those live ball turnovers, those free opportunities that we've seen sometimes in the past for a growing team. And I think what an honor and just what a privilege it is for these young ladies to be coached by someone like Sharon Versa, who is just so knowledgeable in the game, so experienced, and just I think every time it's just really cool to have two terrific coaches to start these programs. But Tripp, I want to hear more about you. Tell me more about yourself and how you kind of became someone who we are going to be counting on in the future to provide us with some coverage and some good thoughts about USCB and maybe some other Lowco areas to track on. So just tell me a little bit more about yourself.
So I'm from Phoenix City, Alabama, which it's 45 minutes from Auburn. It's right outside of Columbus, Georgia, so where Columbus State is. I was a baseball player all throughout high school and my first years of college. So my freshman year, I played at a junior college up near Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Found my way to the Low Country through baseball. Played on the team last year. Didn't get too many opportunities, but things happen for a reason, like Coach BJ was saying earlier. It allowed me to be blessed with the opportunity to do this and to find this area where I can actually shine. Came to USCB. It seemed like the perfect fit. It was a smaller school, but I knew it had the resources I wanted to do what I want to do. I'm a interdisciplinary studies major. My focus is mostly in the TV production and broadcast realm. Work a lot with Dr. Sawyer I've technically directed 2 of the women's games this year so far and worked with them. I'm also the men's basketball manager, so I'm around that team a lot when they're home games, practices. I try not to give too much insider information. I'm not gonna lie, I know more than I let on, but I can't give away too much. Keep it on what's
That's
on
the right
paper.
thing.
I'm a big sports fan. I'm a Auburn Tigers fan.
Okay.
They were playing tonight. They just beat Oregon. I kind of just watched in the corner of my eye. But big college basketball fan.
Okay.
Chargers fan, Padres fan. San Diego was where my dad's
San
from.
Diego.
So yeah, absolutely.
You said
Kevin
you were,
Libby's
you
a
said
big
you were a
fan of your
baseball.
work on.
We're gonna have to get you in the broadcast booth this spring, my man. We need some more guys to anchor our baseball and softball broadcasts. So if that's something you're into, we'd love to have you.
Yeah, absolutely. I called a lot of games in high school. I called a lot of basketball games.
Wait.
Played baseball, so I didn't call many of those. Called some softball games also.
Yep.
I just saw someone put a comment about Sand Shark on the street. So yeah. I also work on a student-led TV show with USCB women's forward Lydia Gattosi. She's my boss. Where we just put together a magazine-style show about athletics, different segments about your favorite athletes, things going around on campus. And I do a segment called Sand Shark on the Street where I ask students trivia questions. And you get some fun answers sometimes. But
Love it.
There you go.
Love it. Well, hey, man, thanks for hopping in with us, and we'll definitely make sure that you don't become a stranger. We'll keep you around, and when you're back in the Low Country, we'll give you some point you in the direction of some great high school games to go check out and tell us about and tell the fans about. So enjoy your rest of your time with the fam, and we'll see you back on campus soon.
Of course, happy Thanksgiving, guys. Thank you for having me.
All right,
yeah, man. Of course.
Tripp Richards joining us.
Dude, that is the saddest ditch I have been waiting for, man. God, that guy is
Tripp's tremendous.
Yeah.
He's a great, very knowledgeable guy, and someone who
he's got the it factor.
He's been around the
broadcasting
loop in terms of.
Y'all threw me off for a second there.
Came in with jokes and everything. Good stuff. But
change
Javon, have
the
you gotten out
subject.
to Whale Branch at all this week?
What's
Have
my
you checked out any of this Earl Campbell tournament?
I have not checked out any of the Earl Campbell tournament. I might make my way out there one of these days, but no, I haven't. As of yet, haven't made my way up there. Yeah.
You and I are both gonna miss it. It's wrapping up tonight.
Oh yeah, today is the 24th. It is championship day.
Yep, this is it.
But Friday you had Buford's girls. We won't say the final score. Hardyville only got a field goal. They only got 3. It's 71-3. Buford over Hardyville. We got a JV masquerading as a varsity right now.
So we are talking high school hoops now. Okay.
We're talking basketball. Bluffton beat Bridges Prep 48-30. And then on the boys' side, May River beat Ridgeland 66-29. Hardyville beat Royal Live Oak 66-26. I think Ridgeland and Whale Branch were supposed to play, but I didn't see a score for that one. And then on Saturday, on the girls' side, Buford beat May River 58-24. So Buford, Amira Brown jumped the river from Bluffton to Buford. So Buford's going to be interesting this year.
Yeah, he was competitive last year. Amira Brown is a terrific addition.
I didn't get that update. They got Amira?
Yeah. Amira jumped the river.
Yeah, they're going to be fun to watch. I'm definitely intrigued.
They got the
on
young kids
girls this year. Bluffton girls certainly going to be a new era over there. I'm not sure what to expect from that team.
Oh man,
yeah, that's a
well, the Bluffton girls lost to Whale Branch 30-25, so that gives you a little bit of an idea. Now, Whale Branch, I think, is going to be pretty decent with Prejean and a couple other young girls.
Watching that Whale Branch girls team last year. Yeah, I mean, I liked watching them last year. They were definitely scrappy last year. They were getting wins when they could, but I agree with Justin. I think that Whale Branch team is going to be something to watch this year.
Hampton County beat Bridges Prep 53-24 on the girls' side, and Ridgeland beat Hardyville 28-13. Sounds like a football score again.
That Hampton County girls team might be something to watch as well.
They were really impressive.
They should be pretty
year.
good. They should be pretty good.
They really impressed me in the Bluffton tournament last year. Sure.
Yeah.
Ridgeland boys beat Hardyville 63-61. We'll get to see that twice more at least. And May River blew out Whale Branch 76-38. And then tonight, May River boys also beat Hardyville 80-39. So May River ran through it on the boys' side. And I think Hilton Head Prep girls lost to Bullock tonight.
That May River boys.
That was the May River.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that was the May River Whale Branch boys score?
Yeah.
I just don't think the coaching style is working, man. I mean, I know the talent changed, but
at
I don't
Whale.
know. Yeah, because 2 years ago, under when you go from Lyles to Wade, they were
Wade
pretty
was
good as a one.
tremendous. I mean,
And he's
Wade
doing
was
good at the school he's at now as an assistant. Like they just didn't mesh off the court. I think there were some rumblings of off the court things that they didn't agree with,
well,
but
and
on the
certainly, I
court,
mean, you got an old school guy in Faber who
Yeah.
did it his way for the longest time at Ridgeland and Jasper, and it's not the same day as it was then,
Right.
and he's not running the show, so I don't know how that how that factors in. But it's this generation of kids. My way or the highway
yeah,
doesn't always fly, and
yeah,
so
True.
I don't know. I don't know how it's working, but I think May River's also pretty good. I think
well, yeah,
Gonna
Kyle
say.
Bennett is a damn good coach, and he started putting the
Outstanding.
system in last year that I
to be
think
fair,
is
yeah.
I think they're going to be good.
But that
I
was
do
for me.
too.
That was more of a well-branched comment because I know how good May River is, and then it's 1A versus
Right.
4A, and technically possibly
Yeah.
5A.
Shoot.
So
Okay.
the score, so that score, to be fair, is isn't far off, but just well-branched wise, just because they still had some size and talent.
They sure did.
Last year's for their record to be what it was. No, not even region-wise, just locally. I was just shocked at what it was, and to hear that score kind of just threw me off.
I
Yeah,
agree
no,
with
I feel you.
Javon on this. I actually saw Whale Branch men's last year. They were taking on Hampton County at Whale Branch last year, and I went out for that game. And I was just like, they got some talent. They got size on this team too, and they can move the ball, down the court pretty well. I think execution was always an issue for that Whale Branch team, and I mean, from some of the scores, I mean, look, granted, again, May River is probably going to be an absolute, unit of the squad for this area, and especially probably in the 4A region. Probably have to go take on Bishop England, see how that goes. But I think for Whale Branch, I kind of agree with Javon. I just think for them to have the players that they got, and they got some decent and really good players. I'm intrigued to see how their record turns out at the end of the year. Because if it turns out the way I think it's going to turn out, it almost gets to the point where you may be starting to look at potential coaching changes if you're Whale Branch, just with the players and the talent that you have on this team. If you don't finish out the season, the way you want it to go, and the way I think Whale Branch would like it to go, I think you're looking at a situation where you have a program that should be stronger than it currently is.
I mean, this is a perennial team that has been perennial competing. You look at the Whale Branch Curls is a great run. Like a couple years back, the guys have had some quality teams as well. The Dick Pringle years. You go back to how good that team was.
My generation with D. Delaney and it's the Middleton brothers, and they were like 1 or 2 years after me.
To a state championship game.
Right.
Yeah, Parrish Magwood, Andre Watson, the list goes on with those guys, and look forward to, for Well Branch to be alive for basically almost a little bit over 10 years. They've competed a lot.
Is CJ maybe pulling some kids back that were matriculating over there for years? Maybe that program basketball wise was more attractive for a few years, and kids started to leak over that way. But now CJ's got some culture going at Creek. Maybe he's pulling some back, and that's impacting the depth. I don't know what all goes into the state of things over there, but
Creek does.
Battery Creek seems to be in pretty good standing. And Javon, how about your Battery Creek wrestling team? Good showing. I know you're an alum of the wrestling squad. They finished second at Bridges Prep this weekend behind Bluffton. Coach Mitch is doing a heck of a job over there.
Yeah, I wish. What's surprising? I want to cover wrestling because I want to give wrestling that spotlight as a former wrestler. Surprisingly, wrestling is the hardest to cover of all.
So
sports.
hard. Well,
it's the hardest to cover.
It's got to be.
You got issues with
the hardest.
graphics and trying to get the scoreboard flipped over because you don't know for sure who's going to wrestle at each weight until they send them out there.
Yeah, and that's the hard part because they don't have jersey numbers or nothing, and then you switch weight classes, and you're at 170, and this kid's like number 2 in the state, so you assume he's going to wrestle 170,
Right.
and
But
then
then
next
they
thing you know,
bump him
coach
to
throws him out 182 or 180, and then another kid
Yeah.
wrestles 160, and then one doesn't wrestle. And
Yeah,
so
they
I don't
bump
even
him.
know who was wrestling. And I
Yeah.
tried to institute that, like, hey, you got to check in. I even had a guy down there. I had who was it at the time? Baseball player from Beaufort High. I forgot his name, but Camacho from
Yeah.
Beaufort High.
Nah.
Yes.
I had
yes.
Don Camacho. I had him down
Great football player as well. Yep.
yeah, I had him down there. He was at the scorers table and he was getting the names from people. But then sometimes they wouldn't check in. They would just like kind of check in with the official book and then walk off. And it was like, so I couldn't update the graphic, and it's just so hard. And then the teams change when you do a tournament. It's a lot.
And when you do a tournament, it's impossible because
So
it's just chaos and it's going on
I
so
try
many
to
mats. And yeah, it doesn't lend itself all that well to the live streaming. You could do like playoff duels. You could probably swing it, but you'd still have to have a body down on the floor to relay up to you who was actually wrestling probably. But I definitely want to try to help you pull that off at some point when we get to playoff duels.
We do have some
makes
more.
it
We do have some more football to talk about. We didn't mention Hampton County yet. We didn't mention Colleton Prep yet.
Right. We mentioned it briefly, but we didn't get
with
into
Devon on. I
any depth
imagine
with
we
it. Yeah.
talk some football as well.
Yeah, let's do it. Hampton County blasted Manning 56-6. It was 49-6 at halftime. I do have a handful of highlights from.
They got their
yeah,
revenge.
that was a shocking score to hear.
That was quite impressive. I did not see that.
It was such a swift. It was so swift too, because
I mean, it was like getting text left and right.
Well, obviously myself, Marcus, and Javon are sitting in the booth for the Hilton Head game, and we're just getting the updates on our our group chat. And also
Daniel Court was big with the updates too.
Well,
DC was peppering me updates like crazy.
First play from scrimmage, Kaz goes to the house.
Well, the first thing I see was that Hampton County took a 14-0 lead. Next thing I know, it's 28-6, and then it's 49-6 at half, and I just was like, "Whoa!"
Man,
it was 14-0 early after those 2 touchdowns, and then Manning was able to get one on the board after this scramble. But then no moss for Manning the rest of the night. It was all Hurricanes. Here's Jalen Singletary with one of his 3 touchdowns. He had, what did he end up with?
That makes you feel good. That makes you feel real good going into your next game and your chances, this deep in the playoffs, you pull off a win like that.
You ain't kidding.
Yeah.
Singletary had 163 on 13 carries.
I don't think anyone, not on our group chat, with all the people we have on our group chat and then us on the show, thought this was how this game was going to go. I don't think we saw it being a 49-6.
Maybe Jeremy, but that's because he's a homer.
True.
I expected a Hampton win, but close.
Yeah, I thought they
definitely
battle for
Manning
we all
to
thought
be
Hampton could win this game if Jalen stayed healthy, but we didn't think they were going to win this game by what was the final score?
49-6 or
56-6.
Yeah,
and that was running clock second half. I mean, they only scored 1 touchdown.
That's Eagles and Chiefs Super Bowl score right there. The rest of the second half really didn't even matter. So
it wasn't that bad in the Super Bowl.
Wasn't that bad.
It wasn't 49-6.
Don't say that in front of Justin, man. Come on.
I mean, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt you there.
Snatching victory.
Hey, that was pretty.
I mean, we lost to the Bears, so
you did.
Oh, true.
You snatched defeat from the Browns victory. But Hampton County looking good, and then they got the help they needed. Central beat Philip Simmons in a shootout, 57-47. So that means Central will come to Hampton, to Varnville, technically, on Friday night for the lower state championship and play in that environment that BJ Payne was talking about. It's going to be hype in Hampton, and I saw Central's got a spirit bus coming, so they're planning to bring the crowd. Should be amazing.
Will, can I ask? Will Buford's Own be on the call? Do we have a confirmation of that? Or
you tried to get a leak there? Yeah, no. I will not be there at all.
Bummer.
I will.
Bummer.
If it was going to be on the road, I'd try it. But the home game, like I said, I'm a guy that I don't really ask multiple times. I asked one time and I was told no because it affected revenue, and so I never asked again. And that was a couple years ago. And granted, the program was just starting, so I understood 100% their point. So I get it, but I really don't ask twice.
Right.
So I kind of give it a while. So it was the same thing with Hilton Head. If you notice, a lot of times I didn't do Hilton Head home games, and with me and Joe, it kind of finally took him, to just last year, the late Joe took to just the last year where he finally was on board and was like, okay, you can come through. And then so now I started doing Hilton Head home games. But for me and Joe, I think he told me no in 2018, 2019. And so I didn't ask again until the last year, and I got a little help from Beaufort High to be able to get there. But you know what I'm saying? So I just don't push the envelope. So, and the same
It's
thing with
interesting.
Hampton.
It's an interesting
Smart.
dynamic. I mean, I get it. I understand the AD's perspective to some degree, but I question whether how much it actually impacts the gate. I think most people who want to see the game are still going to go to the game.
I mean,
but
look at
I'm
that.
not going to lie and say it doesn't, but not that much.
I just
most
wonder
people
how
who aren't
much.
coming.
Look, I'm
10%.
just in terms of sports in general. I'm always somewhere going to the game always beats watching the game on television. That's in terms of being a fan. There's nothing that will replicate being there versus watching the game. I mean, just it's a whole different atmosphere kind of thing.
I agree.
I think personally for a one-off, I don't think it inhabits. I think if you're doing I think Beaufort High looked into it when they allowed me to do it, and it didn't make that much of a difference for them because they were the case study via conversations that I've had that I wasn't in the room for. It didn't impact it that much, and that was when I was only streaming Beaufort High. I think when you're streaming multiple schools and you're at different locations every week or every other, it doesn't really impact it that much. People who aren't coming, they're not coming. People who if you live around the corner and it's $10, it's not it's not an NFL ticket. It's not a $200 NFL ticket.
Right.
It's a $10 high school ticket. It's
donation to the kids too. I mean, people are gonna. This is it. People who watch the stream are people who would be there if they could, but they can't.
Correct.
For the most part. Yeah. For the most part.
Yeah. Right. I mean, people who are not family members who are
Central
1,000%
fans.
So,
can't make the road trip. Not well. Family members out of
hard
state.
To get to
all those.
Drive a hike over to, a different area in the. I mean, it's
alums.
It's not easy all the time to make those trips out to these games. So I mean, it's appreciated, but at the same time, it's understood where, some people will be against. I mean, some officials in terms of the directors.
And I think in the Hampton County case, I'd just say, even if he was there, they're going to pack out that place anyway. Because there's some of the best football fans in the area.
Right. And it's not just Hampton County kid. You're going to see Patrick Henry kids. You're going to see
everyone's going to be there.
Yeah.
Who's going to miss that game?
Should be there.
People who
Hayward, there's going to be a bunch. Yeah.
The Yamasee Cowboys will be there. I guarantee you that. Front row.
I just don't think it. I mean, prime example. I think they just think about the immediate who would be there. But my things that I bring into play, and when the room gets quiet, is that I've walked through so many bleachers, and I've had people say they couldn't make it, or for whatever reason, and they were happy I was streaming. Just the biggest example. One of the latest example was Coach Bigger, Julie. She does the Rising Tide volleyball. Her son, Josh Bigger, plays, and she had to work, so she couldn't be there. She messaged me and asked me if I was streaming the game. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to, be there as soon as it clears the paperwork. I'll post the link. But that's just an example of she wasn't going to be there regardless. She weren't going to, but she could still tune in and cheer on, her son playing. And so I get so many of those requests and answers, and you can see the analytics. I mean, a lot of people are local, but what's more likely going to watch a game because it's free? You're just going to watch it. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't it doesn't have an immediate impact. I'm in so many groups where they've done numbers in their county. And then if you're consistently doing the same school, it might affect about 10% or something like that, but it's not going to affect your bottom line.
Yeah, I agree. And then the other game was Saturday. I got to tune in a little bit on SCHISA TV and follow through your guys' updates while I was coaching softball. But Colleton, some just careless and uncharacteristic mistakes. I mean, the first one early, they had a pick almost 6 that set up a touchdown.
Yeah.
Put them behind the 8 ball to start. They were playing uphill the whole
Uphill
game, and
the
then they were
rest of the way
driving,
pretty
looked
much,
like
and you
they
turned over
had a
5
chance to
times.
tie it, and then pick 6, and that was ball game.
I'm just gonna say this, being that I was there, I will say this. Did Colleton Prep make some mistakes? Yes, but some of those mistakes I don't think was their fault. I think it was just
forced errors.
I think Williamsburg, first of all, that Williamsburg
they have a great defense. I mean, give credit to those guys.
Joke. Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think that Williamsburg defense is no joke. I mean, I watched them that entire game. They got some real big dudes on that defense, especially at the linebacker position. I don't know who number 7 is for Williamsburg, but that dude was everywhere, and he was just wherever Kale threw a pass, he was right there.
Every bleeping where.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and
number 7.
There are others as well who I thought just right place, right times, and situations for.
7 was Charlie Calder.
Charlie Calder, yes, we talked about him a lot, or at least a couple of times.
Yeah, Balder and Calder.
He's here. He's there.
And Small.
He's
oh my.
He's
Small was tough.
Charlie. Yep.
He's Calder. Yeah, I mean, just seriously, but I mean, look, that Williamsburg defensive line, the Williamsburg offensive line. I mean, you look at the size of that team compared to.
Hey, give credit to Colleton Prep and how they hung around in that game because they were outmatched on the line. And I'll tell you what. Yeah, and the defense fought as well in that second half and came with a couple
huge fourth down
interception, forcing that turnover, and all of a sudden you got the ball down 7, I believe, and you have a chance to tie it up, and then you throw 2 interceptions in a row, or interception fumble, you turn it over, something like that, and then I mean, and it goes downhill from there. It's hard to see, but then again, I mean, this is a very good Williamsburg team, and you know, they will make you pay for any mistakes that you make. So I'm sure Kellen's, he wants some of those throws back. But at the same time, I mean, just give credit to that Stallions defense for showing up, for doing the scouting that they need to do, and for forcing a really good quarterbacks to make some mistakes, because that can happen in the state championship game. I mean, it's not easy, and in terms of that high stakes environment. I mean, you see the best guys, make some mistakes in games like that, and credit the defense for doing their job. And for Colleton Prep, there's a lot to be excited about because you have a good amount of guys back next year, as going to be seniors next season. So,
yep.
Yeah, most of the key guys are back. Tanner Wolf graduates. That's a big one. And they have 7 seniors in total. A few guys on defense. Braden Hires was pretty key on defense.
Yeah, that's a good key
and then
player.
a couple guys up front. So they should be good to make another run.
They do a good job of
Williamsburg will be
the last couple of years. So I'm not.
Well, and I was talking with Scott Owens, of course, because I was there for that, whole tailgate party they had, which was, by the way, to the people of Colleton Prep, you guys know how to throw a tailgate party. That was a blast to hang out and just talk with some of the Colleton Prep fans for a solid 2.5 hours. It was really fun. But I was talking with
the farther you go out into the country, the better the parties get.
Oh hell yeah!
I'm telling you, man.
Waldeboro knows how to party.
Yeah, they know how to party. That's a party town, baby. But look, I was talking with Scott Owens, after the game, and he and I both agreed. Like, look at the film. I think some of those mistakes were, I don't think they were on Cale Owens. I just think, those mistakes was just really on the fact that Williamsburg was just absolutely honing in on them on defense. But I think for Cale Owens, you could tell he was frustrated. And he was clearly pissed off after the game was over, and he knew it was
origin story.
Yeah, and so I took him aside, and took him aside from the rest of the crowd and just stood next to him and talked to him and just told him, hey, look, man, this, this sometimes this happens. There are going to be games like this where it happens, and you face a team that honestly, it's you have like a absolute. I mean, it's a challenge, especially against that Williamsburg team. And I just said to him, look, do what you got to do to get ready during the off season. Come back next fall, boots to asses time, and get yourself ready to go to try to get another road to the state championship again. And hopefully this time you don't have to play Williamsburg. And if you do play Williamsburg, give them the biggest fight you can possibly give Williamsburg, because I think that's exactly what they did on. I think that's what they did on Saturday. You don't look at the score. I mean, I think Colleton Prep gave them the biggest fight they could possibly give, that Williamsburg team.
Yeah, they threw some haymakers. They just punched themselves out at the end, I think. And
Williamsburg had a little bit left. It's unfortunate. And, I feel bad for a lot of those kids because they've, have at least the seniors have seen heartbreak to Williamsburg now twice in their career, which is just really hard.
Freshman senior year. That's tough. That's tough, but not many.
He also played for two state championships.
Not many kids make it to the last game.
Yeah, twice in your careers.
By the way, I want to say that senior class, I believe, is the winningest senior class in the history of Colleton Prep football. By the way, so
check out.
First of all, hats off to that. That's really impressive by that senior class. And I think. For the next season, I think for Colleton Prep, I don't think they're going anywhere. I think they are bringing a lot of.
And again, I mean, by the way, see how what realignment does in SCISA too.
Right, and I think that the other thing is, I think with all of what's going on, they've been able to bring in transfers from other schools over the last couple seasons that have really boosted their program. And
it's going to be interesting to see when Colleton makes their hire, which I'm told they're getting
that's exactly what I was,
very qualified candidates.
That's what I was alluding to. It's what does Colleton Prep do in terms of maybe bringing in some players that could be key pieces, maybe some offensive.
Well, they did that this year. They were able to bring in one from Colleton and a couple from Andrew Jackson Academy to solidify the defense. They definitely can do a little bit of that.
Yeah, and I think for me, I look at that Williamsburg team and I just say, how in the world is that a 1A program? And I get that it's based off
first year coach too. He did a great job there.
I mean, look, that is a prestigious program. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they have been to the state championship every year since 2022, and they have been to multiple state championships before 2022. So they've that is a prestigious program through and through. And I just sat there and I just thought they could have competed with Bethesda Academy for a 2A state title as well. Because if you remember clearly, they only lost by 2 to Bethesda this season. And that's how good that Williamsburg team is.
They gave Bethesda their closest game of the season. You're absolutely right.
Yep. No doubt.
Yeah.
So
be excited up for Colleton Prep.
I think the other thing I would say, if I'm SCISA as a whole, I might be a little bit disappointed with how the state championship games went this year, because I'm pretty sure all of them were blowouts.
Yeah, well, you can't control that.
And maybe SCISA might want to, take a look into that and say, is there possibility for realignments?
I mean, that's the way you control is I mean, to a degree, but I know SCISA, you really never know. They can.
Oh yeah, well, they based these. I think it's for both football and men's soccer.
Right.
Yeah.
Remembering
the boys enrollment.
The boys enrollment. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't get that. I don't understand that. I think it's extremely stupid.
I understand.
It's a little odd. I mean, I kind of get it in a way.
I mean,
because there may be some schools that have totally different ratios of boys and girls.
You mean there's nothing that outlaws girls from playing football.
But
the other thing is you have boys only schools like Camden Military.
True. Yeah.
So are you going to classify them?
Yeah. No, I
total enrollment like.
Right.
Well, my thought is, would they? Yeah. No, I'm wondering if a possible, relegation kind of system could be put in place.
Well, that's kind of already. It's just a handshake backdoor deal, but that exists
Yeah.
in SCISA. That's why Hilton Head Prep's playing in 2A, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they literally couldn't compete in,
Right.
in
There's
3A,
kind of a built-in
and
factor.
they moved them down.
in
So
SCISA.
I think there is some wiggle room for
Yeah.
that if you can get
Yeah.
everybody on board for it. So we'll just have to see how it shakes out. That happens in rooms we're not in, so we can't really speculate too much about it. But I think that's where I've got to draw the line, boys. It's been an hour and 40 minutes. So
Yeah.
let's shout out some
Please.
sponsors and get to our parting thoughts. But we did have a lot of people to talk to and a lot to talk about tonight.
Yes.
So we got through it. We got Hudson Seafood House on the docks, presenting sponsor of Under the Bus. The boys are taking the week off this week for the holiday. They couldn't find a day that worked for everybody, so they'll be back next week, presumably on Tuesday. But Hudson Seafood House on the docks makes it possible. As BJ Payne noted earlier, it's a great place to catch happy hour. Get some seafood, cocktails, and sunsets over at Hudson Seafood House on the docks. We've also got HHI. I started saying WHHI. HHI Windows and Doors. Coach Barron over there working on improving your view of the Low Country at HHI Windows and Doors. Twinge and Twombly, the personal injury attorneys in Beaufort with the rare name who provide remarkable service. Call on Twinge and Twombly. And then Reverence Wrestling Club, official wrestling sponsor and presenting sponsor of the Lowco Grind. We kicked off a new season last night. Myself, along with George Dixon, Alex Hagan, and Coach Mitch from Battery Creek, talking wrestling in the Lowco and beyond. And also Jay's Barbershop, the place to be in Ridgeland, whether you need a haircut or not. And our all-star sponsors, as always, Mickelson Law Firm and WHHI TV. And Javon, you're the guest of guests here, so you kick us off in your parting thoughts. What wisdom can you share with us?
Wisdom, I don't know, but I will say that you guys dropped a bomb on me with the Mira Brown move to Beaufort High, and I don't really get. I don't really get not to be down on girls basketball. Not the craziest. There's moments where you have Canoe Barnwell at Well Branch.
Yeah.
You had Bluffton, with Hayward and the crew last year. The years before that, and so now I'm kind of looking at this Beaufort High squad, and I'm like, we might. And I mean, other than running into the buzzsaw that is Bishop England with Brown now at Beaufort High. You got Dennison coming back. Hayward's older. They still got Coaxum. I think, and Crosby looked really good for them as a freshman last year.
He is a fine
board.
I'll tell you what, I'm sold on that.
The younger, like
they're going to be an issue. I mean, they're going to be more than competitive.
Yeah. Crosby was settling in, starting to play like an older player, but Aaron came in as the younger sister, and I'm like, she seems, really good. So, but as a squad, I think Beaufort High, they might got themselves a little bit of a good season on the rise there. So I'm looking at Beaufort High girls basketball this year, and of course my Battery Creek boys. Don't be in love. That's a tough region, though. That's a tough region.
Sure is. You got to tangle with some big boys in that one.
Yeah,
that's a tough region there.
It's tough for football, but I think it's even tougher for basketball because you got Orangeburg, Oceanside, North Charleston's not usually good at football, but they're good at basketball.
Yeah, I was talking to Camden about that. One of the new kids that's going to be helping me out. He's going to be on the camera. He's not ready for commentary yet. He even said that himself. But I was kind of explaining to him sports a little bit more, and that was one of the things. I was like, they look like because he lives by Tyrese. So I was like, that's one of the things. They're going to be good, but the problem is they got a tough region. Really tough region.
Really tough. Marcus, what do you got, buddy?
Got a couple of things. I was taking a look at some of the schedules and whatnot heading into basketball, being that we are just underway. Is it true that there is a Battery Creek tournament? I think the 20th to the 22nd of December, and then Bluffton has their tournament right after Christmas, is what I saw on Max Prep today.
The John Drafts Classic coming back.
I just saw that there was a.
Do we have any confirmation?
18th through the 20th is what you said, John?
Yeah. I'll be at that one. Yeah.
18th
John
to the
Drafts
20th,
Classic.
and then
that was great last year. The comeback of the John Drafts.
Yeah, it was
Classic
all local teams pretty much, except for there
Yeah.
VCA teams there. It was mostly all our
It was
teams.
awesome.
And then, I'm assuming it's the Bluffton Bobcat Classic,
Yep.
29th through 31st. Or maybe it's 27th to 29th. I'll find the dates on it.
28th through 30th, something like that.
It's right before New
Yeah.
Year's.
I
and then
looked
you'll
at it
also
this
have
morning.
the May River Wrestling Tournament that week.
The Shark Invitational, yes,
Yeah,
it's always
big one.
always a busy time at the end of the year. So lots of holiday hoops.
I definitely, again, want to thank Javon for having me on with him. I was on with him for 4 games this year, believe it or not, boys. Obviously, we had our 8 with WHHI, and I moonlighted at the beginning of the year, just covering for Loco for the first 2 weeks that I was doing games, but got to see Hilton Head against May River, Bluffton against Gilbert, Hilton Head against Wilson, and then Hilton Head against Gray Collegiate. And what a job that Hilton Head did, especially. I mean, all these schools that I go out and see, you know, I'm proud of everybody, you know, top to bottom for what they contribute and what they put into it. But Hilton Head the last 2 years has really impressed me on the high school side of things. Hilton Head Prep and JP2, as I kind of alluded to with Wes on Saturday, really has impressed me the last couple of years, especially this year on the side of SCISA, getting their programs back going, and ready to have a little bit of time just to get ready for Thanksgiving and enjoy the week, and then I'll be really getting going with hoops prep for sure, because it's not going to be long. There's more stuff in the hopper at WHHI the next few weeks leading into Christmas and whatnot, but we'll get back to calling games before long. Second week of January, I would assume, but more details on that to come.
All right. Max Raj, what you got, buddy?
Obviously, hats off to Hilton Head and Colleton Prep for the incredible seasons they have had. I've been really impressed by both of them. I would say Colleton Prep for me. You know, I got to see them 4 times this year. I think that's more than any other school I got to see in terms of football so far this year. And you know, every time I watched them, it was really fun to watch that team play. And same thing goes for Hilton Head. I got to watch them a few times this year, and it's been really fun. And obviously, you know, doing the last 2 games of Hilton Head with Javon and Marcus have been just it was a blast.
They were a blast.
And so I just want to say thank you, Javon and Marcus for all the great times we had for those 2 games. And so of course, got to appreciate Javon for all the work he put in for this football season as well, man.
Absolutely phenomenal, dude.
And
Incredible.
so, he is the man. He says he's just a man, but I think you're a bit more than that, Javon. So,
he's a man. He's a man. He's a man.
He's like
a
man.
He's just a guy, man.
Just a guy, man.
The other thing I was going to say is I'm excited for the high school basketball season to get into high gear. It's that time of the year, and hopefully, we could see some teams make deep runs for potential, lower state title and possibly, really get something together going. I'm excited for a lot of these teams in the areas in both men's and women's basketball. And just from the scores we've already seen from a few of these teams, I'm really excited. So,
can we make preseason picks?
Sorry,
what's that?
So can we make preseason picks?
What are you picking?
Surprise it. I'm obviously I think girls you got me already with Buford girls, but I'm gonna go outside of Buford in the Loco and go to the Loco. I'm going Hampton County boys.
Yep.
County boys are gonna be fun.
We'll definitely get into more of that pretty soon once we
and
they'll be rough early as they start.
They're in a new gym this year, correct?
Are they?
Do they?
You said what?
I thought they were building. Are they still in the
They're building a new school, but it's not open yet.
Oh, it's not open yet. Okay.
No.
They're still in the barn. All right. Yeah, go ahead.
My turn. It is going to be a kind of a little debate on our hands when we go through and we just talk about our all area players. Because I'll tell you what, there are 2 guys that have really stood out to me that have made the case that they might be the player of the year in the Low Country. The two guys I'm thinking of, Thaddeus Zarnecki, and the guy who's still playing. And he still has more to say because he'll definitely have one, maybe two more to go. That is Jalen Singletary, Agent Zero.
Giving it to Jalen.
Yeah, so I think if I recall correctly, we have settled on an offensive, a defensive, and a Iron Loco as our top players, right?
Okay, so we can fit.
What's the Iron?
Gerrymandered. Iron Loco's the two-way, the all-way player.
All-way,
yeah.
And that's,
I like that.
Zarnecki all the way.
Well,
so then you
don't
go
spoil
You think?
We haven't made this season isn't over yet, but because we still have. But
I'd go Jalen two-way because I think he's better on both sides than Zarnecki is if we're going to split him like that.
Maybe.
You
might be right. He's really good at DB as well.
Yeah.
He's got 200 rushing yards and 37 touchdowns, which is insane.
Yeah,
but anyway,
outrageous.
Finish your thought, Wes.
My point is that both of
my bad.
Seasons, and it's been fun to cover them and watch what they have done this year specifically. But I'll tell you what, I did not expect this kind of success from Hampton County, even though I thought they had a chance this year. They have risen above my expectations, and really it's been because of Mr. Singletary. He has been electric, better than advertised, and I think he has been one of the best players in all of 2A this year. I don't think there's really debate on that. And there have been guys that have really. I was worried about Hampton's offense going in just because, like, other than Singletary, I wasn't sure how much they had in terms of electrifying players who just compared to what they had 2 years ago.
Really key guys to transfer.
Yeah, like who was going to step up this year? I'll tell you what, they have shown up in a big way in terms of, obviously Singletary, but the off as a whole. They have found some electric compliments, and I think you look back to some tough games. There were against 4A teams, but it's great to see this Hampton team. Continue to rise as a program, and now, it's the biggest game. Oceanside, that was on the road 2 years ago. This is the biggest game that Hampton County football has played, and I think that I'm talk about I'm sure later this week, but I feel good about the Canes. The fact that they have Jalen Singletary, who has been just an outrageous spark plug this year, but I just feel like their game was a lot. They put it out of reach quickly. I'll tell you what, that Central had the scrap and claw.
Yeah, they did.
And I feel like Hampton going this game. I feel like they're at their advantage. They're gonna be home, and I'm just really optimistic about the way that offense is going to come out on Friday. We'll definitely get into more of this game and talk about the ins and outs because there are our last team left playing. But this Canes team, I'm incredibly hyped for what that atmosphere is going to look like with that one of the best groups of fans in the entire 2A classification of high school football, not just a local beyond in my opinion, maybe my biased opinion, but still I love heading out there, and man, it is going to be quite the scene on Friday night. So looking forward to me and Max and I think are going to make the trip and cover this game. And it's going to be a tremendous scene over there.
They'll be happy to see you. You'll be treated like kings.
I haven't been to Hampton County this year, so
there's nothing like going to cover a game the day after Thanksgiving. It's just it's awesome, man.
Yeah.
You get to eat some leftovers, and then you get to make the trip over and watch some playoff football. There's nothing like it. I love it.
Don't eat too much turkey before you guys head out there, or else you might fall
asleep. Room
asleep.
for Rigdon's fried chicken.
That too. Don't eat too much fried chicken, or else you might fall asleep.
Yeah, it is a long drive home through the country, and you might lose signal, so you might not even have music. But I think we've covered just about everything. But as a parting thought, I will announce that for the True Hoop Sickos, we've got our own group of Hoop Sickos that's going to be doing the One Loco Happy Hour, Hoops Happy Hour. They're planning to start it off tomorrow night. They've been out in the gyms at Seabrook watching all these teams, and they eat, sleep, and breathe hoops even more than we do year round, not just during the high school season. So Rob Benson's got some guys together, Jamie Manning and Matthew Fisher Davis, some of the biggest hoop heads in the area. They're going to do the One Loco Hoops Happy Hour and keep us posted on what's happening with hoops around the Loco. So they're going to set sail tomorrow night. I believe we will take tomorrow night off and let them take center stage, and then we'll get back together Wednesday, preview that Hampton game, and get ready for
maybe we can get Jalen or Rob Hanna or somebody.
Yeah, we're going to try to get Rob because we haven't had him on this season. Yep. Maybe we can get him in his lounge chair before the beers. The evening beers. He made a comment once about he couldn't come on because he'd already gotten into the evening beers and he didn't want to make a fool of himself. But I'm sure he'd do just fine. But yeah, good stuff this weekend. A great show tonight. Thanks to BJ Payne for jumping on with us and for just being
what a class
tremendous.
act.
I mean, just we're so fortunate to have him in our part of the country and taking care of one of our programs here and building it up to the level he has. He's a pleasure. Love that dude.
They do not come much finer.
Nothing better than BJ.
No, they don't. They don't. Even being from Ohio, he's still just a great guy.
Yeah.
We like that, Marcus.
We grow them great up there.
Hey, man, come on.
But no, thanks to VJ as well as to Tripp Richards for jumping in with this great debut. We're definitely looking forward to having him on more and more and helping make him part of the team and Team Lowco so he can continue to build that portfolio and those skills and get on his way. And thank you, Javon, for jumping in. You're always welcome. Just let me know. I'll get you that link. So for Javon Livingston, Marcus Walsh, Max Haraj, and Wes Kerr, I'm Justin Jarrett. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight. And until next time, go Loco.